When someone has just passed away, there is a strange silence that covers the space. In that moment, we often want to get close and touch the body of our loved one to express our condolences. But do you know that touching the recently deceased can cause unexpected effects? The curiosity about why not to do so has existed for thousands of years, associated with beliefs, traditions, and spiritual concepts. What is behind this advice? Why do different cultures have strict views on this? Let's explore the mysteries behind that sacred silence and why we need to respect the rest of the deceased. 1. The time it takes for the soul to leave. According to Buddhist beliefs, the soul does not leave the body immediately after death. Normally, it takes about 8 to 16 hours for the soul to separate from the body and enter the reincarnation phase. During this time, even though the body is cold and has stopped breathing, the soul still remains and can feel what is happening around it. Therefore, relatives should not rush to perform rituals such as bathing, changing clothes, or moving the body. Crying and lamenting too much during this period can make the soul regretful, making it difficult for them to leave peacefully, causing them to lose their way or be unable to reincarnate according to their karma. This regret can even turn them into wandering souls, unable to be liberated, negatively affecting both them and the living. Instead of crying, relatives should recite Buddha's name, perform gentle rituals, and create a peaceful space to help the soul leave peacefully. If they can stay calm and have a peaceful mind, relatives will help the soul feel peaceful and easily continue its journey of reincarnation. It is very important to keep the soul peaceful for about 8 to 16 hours after death, helping the soul to depart peacefully, without worries, and prepare well for the journey of reincarnation. 2. The eighth consciousness, spiritual consciousness, also known as the soul, is the deepest spiritual part of a person, only leaving the body when the whole body is completely cold, that is, when physical life no longer exists. The spiritual consciousness is considered to be the place where all memories, karma, and deep impressions from many lives are stored. Normally, the soul will not leave the body immediately when a person dies, but it takes a period of time for the body to become completely motionless. The whole body is cold and biological activities stop completely. This represents a complete separation between the physical body and the spiritual consciousness. However, in some special cases, the soul can leave the body quickly after death. This is often noted in people with high levels of practice, such as those who regularly recite Buddha's name or have achieved a state of spiritual purity, freed from heavy karma. These people may not need to go through a long process of waiting for their bodies to completely cool down because their souls are already prepared for a peaceful departure. People who recite Buddha's name often have a strong desire to be born into a higher realm, such as the Buddha's realm or the Western paradise, so their souls can leave immediately after death. In addition, in cases of passing from hell, the soul can also leave the body quickly when it is clearly aware of liberation, freed from the cycle of suffering and heavy karma. These are rare cases when the human soul reaches a special state of enlightenment, surpassing the usual constraints of the body and karma. The spirit, in this case, will quickly transform and leave the body without having to wait a long time. Thus, the departure of the spirit can take place in many different ways, depending on each person's karma and practice. For ordinary people, the spirit will only leave when the body is completely cold. But for those who practice or have thorough spiritual preparation, this process can take place more quickly and gently. 3. Signs that the soul has departed are an important part of spiritual beliefs, especially in Buddhism. When a person dies, the soul does not leave the body immediately, but it can take some time for the consciousness to completely separate. During this process, the temperature of the body parts gradually decreases, and it is believed that checking different areas of the body can indicate where the soul has gone in the 6 realms of samsara. These signs are said to reflect the karma of the deceased, and thus determine which of the 6 realms of samsara they will be reborn into: the heavens, the human realm; the asura realm, the animal realm; the hungry ghost realm, or the hell realm. Each location of the body that last lost its warmth represents a specific realm of rebirth. For example, if the warmth remains in the abdomen, this indicates that the person may be reborn in the realm of hungry ghosts. If the warmth gathers in the soles of the feet, this is a sign that the soul may have gone to hell, a place of suffering and punishment. When the warmth remains in the forehead or between the eyebrows, this indicates that the person may be born in the heavens, where there is peace and happiness. If the warmth is concentrated in the crown of the head, this often indicates that the person has reached a high level and may be born in the Buddha realm or the Western paradise. In addition, the warmth remaining in the chest may indicate that the soul will be reborn in the human realm, continuing the cycle of reincarnation on Earth. Meanwhile, if the last warmth is concentrated in the spine, the soul may be heading towards the Ashura realm, where beings are full of fighting and rivalry. These signs are not simply to know where the soul goes, but also to help relatives know how to pray and dedicate merit to help the deceased have a better rebirth. Many people believe that when they see signs of the soul being reborn in a bad realm, relatives can chant sutras, recite Buddha's name, and dedicate merit to help the deceased reduce karma, helping their soul move towards a more peaceful realm. Although these signs are spiritual in nature and have not been scientifically proven, in the lives of many communities, they are still considered important signals, reflecting a deep belief in the operation of karma and reincarnation. Determining the location of the last warmth and praying after a loved one passes away is not only to comfort those left behind, but also a way to show filial piety and concern for the journey of the deceased in life after death. 4. Notes on funerals. Should use vegetarian food. Do not show off the funeral. In funerals, the organization should focus on spiritual meaning and purity instead of being too ostentatious. Vegetarian food should be used throughout the process to reduce the karma of killing and create a pure space for the deceased. Vegetarian food is compassionate, helps the deceased gain more blessings, and helps them to be liberated more easily. Instead of investing in elaborate rituals, relatives should focus on doing good deeds, such as releasing animals, making offerings, and helping the poor to accumulate more blessings for the deceased. These charitable acts are not only beneficial to the deceased, but also bring peace and comfort to the living. Organizing a funeral in a simple, gentle, and meaningful way will help the deceased soul depart peacefully, while avoiding unnecessary financial pressure on relatives. The most important thing is the sincerity in praying and creating blessings, helping the deceased soul to easily reach a good realm in the cycle of reincarnation. According to spiritual and Buddhist beliefs, when a person has just passed away, their soul has not left the body immediately. Many people believe that after stopping breathing, the deceased has completely left the mortal world and lost all feelings. But in fact, this is not the case. According to Buddhism, humans have 8 consciousnesses, of which the 8th consciousness, also known as alaya consciousness, is the soul or consciousness, which is the last part to leave the body. This process can last for several hours after the deceased stops breathing, and during that time the body is still connected to the consciousness. Touching the deceased, whether to dress them, move their body, or do other actions, can cause them pain. In particular, if the spirit is still attached to the body and has not completely left, physical impacts from relatives can make the spirit feel uneasy, even miserable. This can create feelings of resentment or pain in the deceased soul, negatively affecting their reincarnation process. Moreover, according to Buddhist beliefs, unnecessary impacts on the body of the deceased can reduce blessings, hinder liberation, and even lead the soul to bad realms in reincarnation. Therefore, touching the deceased must be done very carefully and according to certain rules. The waiting time after a person passes away is from 8 to 16 hours, depending on each case, to ensure that the soul can completely leave the body without any attachment to the material world. During this time, it is best not to impact the body, not to move or change position, and not to perform any rituals that can cause pain to the deceased. Instead, relatives can chant Buddhist scriptures, gently and compassionately guide the soul, helping them to leave in peace and serenity. This not only helps the deceased but also brings peace to the living, avoiding creating unnecessary resentment and karma later. Those who do not know or accidentally touch the deceased without following spiritual principles can unintentionally make it difficult for their loved one to pass away. This not only affects the reincarnation process of the deceased, but also makes the living feel regretful and reproachful for not helping their loved one to leave peacefully. Therefore, understanding and caution in how to treat the deceased is extremely important, not only in Buddhism but also in many other cultures and beliefs. Not touching the deceased is not only a spiritual matter, but also a way for us to show respect for their final journey. Understanding these principles gives us more insight into the traditions that have been maintained since ancient times. Although each person's concept may be different, the important thing is that respect and filial piety must always come first. What is your opinion on this issue? Leave a comment below so we can discuss further. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on other interesting content. Thank you for watching. See you in the next videos.